Hi everyone. So this is not going to be a happy-go-lucky video. It's not going to be all bright and sunshine, but it is something I need to talk about, and that is my autism and more precisely my Asperger's, which is what I have, I guess you can call it. I don't know how to describe it. I don't see it as a condition. I don't see it as anything like that. So I find it difficult to place what it is when I say I have it. So yeah, I have autism. If people don't know what it is a mental illness which you are born with, and it is something that is with you your entire life. You know, from what I know, you cannot get rid of it. It doesn't come and go. It doesn't fade away. It's not like a broken bone. It won't heal and it won't recover and it won't go back to nothing. This is something I have always had and I always will have. And the reason why I want to discuss this openly on my channel is because there is such a stigmatism and a taboo around autism and mental health as a whole, which I feel needs to be openly discussed and expressed. And I just thought I could be the best person, as I am someone who is living with that. This is going to be a bit of a ramble. This isn't scripted. This is just going to be my thoughts and feelings and what I hope will be insightful for you guys, and you'll be able to take something away from this. Like I said, this isn't anything for pity or sympathy on my part. I am just explaining effectively how I live, I guess. I'm not 100% myself, but we'll try and figure it out together, shall we? Something I always get asked when I start with this is, what is autism? It's a word that is said a lot. It is a word that has been said a lot more recently, like in the last 5 years, than ever before. What Wikipedia, of all places, says autism is, because Wikipedia is the first place people normally go, is autism is a neurodevelopmental disorder characterized by impaired social interaction, impaired verbal and non-verbal communication, and restricted and repetitive behavior. Parents usually notice the signs in the first 2 years of child's life. These signs often develop gradually, though some children with autism reach their development milestones at normal pace and then regress. The diagnostic criteria requires symptoms to become apparent in early childhood, typically before age 3. So that is what they're saying, and I agree with that. I don't think that is a bunch of bullshit. I think that is very true, because one of my things with autism is the social side. It is, for me, it is in social interaction massively. It affects me a lot. I am very nervous meeting new people. My biggest fear is walking into a room full of people I don't know and them all sort of like just turning and looking at me. Like, trying to talk to people who I don't know is very nerve-wracking for me. And repetitive behaviour, yeah, I did some repetitive things as a kid. Like, I'm not sure exactly what I did, but I know my mum has said I would always do like the same things, and I would just be fascinated by like things going on a loop, basically. The way I thought I'd sort of try and describe this for you guys is, I went on, as you know, I did Summer in the City, and we have a group on there, and I thought it would be a good idea to ask them if they had any questions regarding autism, because I wanted to get a scope of what like the general public, shall we say, for I want to know about autism. And this is a group of people and community I felt very safe in, that I could openly say it in, and I felt could help me in what they wanted to know. I think that makes sense. So anyway, here is what I got back from those guys, and hopefully this will cover a lot. The first one was from Savan, who said, when was I diagnosed? I was diagnosed about 11 or 12, but it was quite late. It wasn't like 2 or 3, definitely not. My mum noticed there was something different about me, and so she took me to the doctors or something. I didn't really know what was going on at the time, and then it came back saying that I had autism / Asperger's syndrome, which ironically was when Grange Hill did a storyline where someone had just been diagnosed with it. I say around 11 or 12, I know it was before year 9, because in year 9 I went to this 6-week course program thing. Basically, it was something to help people with autism and ADHD and things like that, to improve their social skills and just help them out, which did actually help. But yeah, 11 or 12, that's when I was diagnosed. My mum will probably say earlier, but that's when I remember. This is one that two people actually asked me, which is Rob and Richard, so hi guys. They want to know what the biggest misconceptions I've had to deal with are being autistic, and the biggest ones are that I think people hear autism and they don't realise the spectrum of it is very, very, very big. Most people probably think of it as something like this. The truth is, autism spectrum is like that. Like, it's big as a room. You have people that are very calm and have very, very low autism, and some people who can't function in public situations. You know, they can't speak properly because of their autism and ADHD and have speech impediments, or just have never really fully developed verbal communication, as that Wikipedia post said. For me, Asperger's is apparently in the middle. So yeah, I guess that's true, because verbal, I'm pretty okay with verbal communication, and non-verbal, but social side is not good for me. This makes sense in my head. But the weirdest misconceptions I had to deal with is that I'm instantly branded as a freak. I'm different. I am someone who needs to be treated with kid gloves. People think they need to watch what they say around me and be extra polite, and, you know, to be blunt, they feel like I can't take a joke, I feel, because I think I'll take it as a personal attack on myself. And I will admit, when I was younger, I didn't know how to deal with autism, and when I was growing up, yeah, I did take things to offence which I shouldn't have, but kids do. And the only way I've learned to stop that is by growing up and being mature, to be honest. It's a maturity thing, I think. That's the only way I've been able to deal with it. But that is the biggest misconception, thinking I need to be sheltered and this precious little, you know, thing in a box. I need to be looked after, I need to be dealt with, and I don't. The support is nice to have, and, you know, when I get overwhelmed, people to see if I'm okay and making sure how I'm doing is fine, but I don't need someone there 24/7. And I think people see the worst cases of ADHD and autism, which are people who are screaming, having panic attacks, breaking down in public, and can't really function without someone there to keep them calm. And they think that everyone with that is like that. It's not. It's not. It depends solely on the person. That is so important, and that's with every mental illness. It depends on the person. Something else from Summer, who I made good friends about Summer at the City, is she said her cousin also has Asperger's, and you both exhibit wildly different mannerisms. Quite fascinating. Yes, that is very, very true. Like I said, just because you have the same mental illness or defect does not mean you are going to exhibit the same things. It's wildly different. Some people are mild-mannered and calm, some are loud and overexcitable. It totally depends on the person, completely. Again, I'd say I'm in the middle. I can be very mild-mannered and very quiet, and I can get a bit loud and overbearing. I'll admit that. But yeah, yes, everyone with autism and ADHD and all those things, they have wildly different characteristics. Some people need something with them to keep them calm, like some people need their music, some people need like a necklace, like some people like need that support there. I don't class myself as having anything like that. Maybe my music, because I like to always have music when I'm at the house, but I don't know that's an autism thing, or that's just a people thing, because a lot of people like to have music when they're at the house. I don't know, but yeah, every single person with autism deals with it very differently and has different mannerisms. Just to give you a scope of what autism is like, sorry, I completely vanished there, is most people's brains is very linear and streamlined, and it can be quite calm. And, you know, they see things and they just think that's it. My brain goes about a mile a minute. It goes a lot faster, it goes a lot more overwhelmed, and it's basically like this. If you have headphones in or this is quite loud, I advise you turning it down now. Right, so the standard brain is just kind of like this. Like, very little moving on, very little going on. For me, my brain is like this a lot of the time. Imagine dealing with that 12 hours a day, 14, 16 hours a day. It gets very hectic and crazy in there. It's just loud, and that's why people get overwhelmed when they have autism, because everything's going on, like colours, like just anything and everything. It's crazy. So yeah, imagine someone like that. A very important one is a question that Sarah has put on there, and she again said that someone she knows has autism and we are very different in our mannerisms, so people didn't expect I had autism, which was very nice to see. That, not that I gave it away, that people didn't instantly peg me as someone like that. I don't know how else to word it, I'm afraid. They asked, what is the biggest issues I've had to deal with and how does it influence my life? How it influences my life is very little. Something I always say about it is it's a part of me, but it doesn't define me. So I try not let it control or influence what I do. Obviously it will if I'm having like a bad day or I get overwhelmed, have slight anxiety as a result of it. But it's very rare. When I was younger it controlled me more, but like I said, this is me learning how to deal with it in my own way. Not being afraid to call and support when I need it, not being afraid to say I need 5 minutes when I need it, which I didn't used to do. And on to the other point of what are the biggest issues I had to deal with, mainly outbursts. I would not tell anyone anything because I was so shy and I was so socially inept, basically. I would get bullied, I'd get picked on, people would say things, and I would just try and ignore it. I didn't want to draw attention to myself, so people would be like, in school and whatnot, people would be like whispering things at me or throwing things at me, and I would just try and ignore it and just try and push it all down, and then it all just got way too much, and I would just flip and shout like across the room, and the teacher would just be on the whiteboard doing her own thing, and then bang, there I go. Completely like flip out. I remember once I may have thrown a history book at someone across the room. No, yeah, I definitely did that. I threw a history textbook at someone. So that's what I've had to learn to do. I've had to learn to just control my outbursts and my anger through that. And that's the thing, I'm not an angry person through choice. I would just get pushed, but because I had so much pride in myself, like I didn't want to be a hassle to people because I always felt like I was one, because I'd always get upset and react. I tried to like talk to myself, and that wasn't the way to do it, especially not in school. That was not the way to do it. So if anyone in school or is going to school knows about this and they feel the same way, as cheesy as this is going to sound, just tell someone. Even if it's like your favourite teacher or your form teacher and they don't know you have this thing, just say that, you know, I've been diagnosed with autism, I would like you to know, because at least then they can try and help. Also, a biggest issue I've had to deal with is not panicking when my plans don't go perfectly scheduled as I'd like. The thing about me is I like routine. I like to check times and things several times. I hate being late, so I will check a train time probably about 8 times. I will check my work schedule probably about 5 times. With work, I have this special routine. I will set my alarm 2 hours before my shift starts. Even if I'm like working in the afternoon, in case I feel I like lying, I will always set my alarm 2 hours before I start, and I will try and leave the house an hour before I start. That has always been how I've done it since I started this job nearly 2 years ago. And when that doesn't go quite to plan, I panic a bit and I worry I'm going to be late, basically. And so I said, I don't like being late. When I'm on trains and everything, I panic because if my train is delayed, I wonder, you know, how much time am I losing in that place? If I'm meant to be getting a connecting train, like, am I going to make it? Am I now going to have to rush when I get there? What time am I now going to be getting in? And, you know, little things like that. So the biggest thing I've had to deal with is that when things get delayed and you don't go to plan, not to panic. And the way I combat that is like, I normally kind of look and just go, I'll just stick my music in, that'll pass the time, hopefully it won't be too long. So that's something I do. So that is all I really wanted to do as a quite long intro to me and my autism. I will go into more depth about it where and when I can on this channel, because like I said, it's a big part of me, and if I want to be open and honest on this place, I need to discuss it. So I will be more. I would plan to talk about it, like how it's represented in the media. Hopefully get other people with other mental illnesses and autism involved in here as well. I can't promise that, but I will try my best. But thank you for listening, guys, if you haven't listened all the way through. Sorry this has been a bit rambling, a bit over the place. There's not much more I can say. Yeah, thank you for listening, guys. it is appreciated. Until next time, have a good one, whatever you're doing.